Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hello, welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge. This is episode number 982, and today we're going to talk with our friend over at GeoLabs. Now, GeoLabs has an agricultural ELD. I didn't know. I know a lot about ELDs, but I didn't know there was an agricultural ELD. Well, I guess this one helps people who work in the agricultural markets to make sure that they are, they're exempt. The rules that they have certain exemptions, and that they're following the rules. So we're going to talk with David Lady today to find out all about what GeoLabs does and how it works and why it works and how you can get a hold of it. So stay tuned, and we will be right back. Hey folks, are you an owner or operator looking for a place to call home? Well, Rims Transport is based out of Hamilton, Ontario, and that's right, they are a place owner-operator fleet only. They run flatbed out of Hamilton, and they don't run much more than 500 to 700 mile radius. So if you're looking for a place that you can get back home on a regular basis, you can get good miles, they have a great culture for owner-operators, and they want you to succeed, then Rims Transport's the place to do that. Where can you learn more? Go to rimstransport.com. Make sure you tell them that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you, and we want you to be successful. We know them personally over there, and we know they're going to take good care of you. You got open board, you've got tandem US, you got multi-axle US, you got city, you got all kinds of positions available there, all owner-operator fleet. So if you want to be successful for 2023 and beyond, then get on with Rims Transport and tell them we sent you. All right, everybody, talk to you later. Go to rimstransport.com. All right, so today we're going to talk with David Lady, and David is an owner and partner with GeoSpace Labs, and GeoLabs is what they've got. And he also goes by the pen name David Edwards because he's a zombie novelist. There you go. You may have already come across him. So GeoSpace Labs has a low-cost professional ELD tool to assist transporters in the agricultural commodities with hours of service compliance. And they use the FMCSA exemptions and put it all together for you so you can understand it, because a lot of people don't. So we're going to find out all about it, how it works. I didn't know there was an agricultural ELD, so I'm looking forward to getting on with this. So here we go. Let's get into the interview with Mr. David Lady. Hey folks, have you heard of CAT Transport? That's right, they are one of the leading carriers in Canada. They've been best managed fleet for many years. They are a very large carrier that operates right across North America. And the best way to find out about what they have to offer is to go to cat.ca and then click on the careers button. But let me tell you some of the things that are available to you right now. They've got locations based in key metropolitan areas across North America. You do not have to work out of Quebec, even though they're a Quebec-based carrier. They have operations for you anywhere that you live. Total health benefits are available right off the bat. Remote work options, compensation that is competitive with the industry. Company matching pension plan. Hey, why not grow while they're growing? And on-site health and wellness programs are available. They've got career growth opportunities because they are a fast-growing company, and they provide a work-life balance that they believe is best of the best. Skills development and training programs will keep you advancing in your career so that you can spend a long time with CAT. So check out CAT Transport at cat.ca and click on the careers button to find out all about it. And by the way, tell them that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you. All right, everybody, on the line, I've got David Lady with GeoWiz ELDs. Hopefully I got that right. He's one of the owners of the company. We're going to learn all about ELDs today. Welcome to the show, David.
Bruce, thanks for having me, brother.
All right. So let's explain. Let's get the advertising work out of the way first. You got a ton of books behind you. You're saying you want to talk about that. Let's get that out of the way so people go, why has he got books and not ELDs back there?
Yeah. Well, I'm in my little podcast studio, and I've written over like 50 books. And I do a lot of podcasts talking about them because, books are a lot harder to move than ELDs. Oh yeah. No one's making people buy books, but they're making them buy the ELD. So my most recent book is Rick Calhoun and the Town Full of Really Mean Zombies, which is an awesome, fun little Western. All my books are just pulp, fun, men's books, men's adventure, very topical to me. It's the stuff I like to read, but not topical as far as society. So
I'm the other end of the spectrum. I've written 6 books, but mine are all self-help. I still need a lot of help. I never got into the zombies and stuff. I'm on the self-help. Here's how you do a better career, whatever it is. So,
Bruce, you got to go zombie at some point. Everyone does if you're going to write these things.
I think we'll wait till the end of life, and I think I go zombie automatically at that point. So, anyway, let's talk about you. So, now I understand that this is a veteran-owned company. Is that you were a veteran before?
I'm a veteran. I was enlisted. What they call 97 Bravo, 97 B20, which meant I carried a little badge, and I was a counterintelligence investigator, and I was part of the team that arrested Noriega, and then I had a lot of exciting adventures in Central and South America during the war on drugs and all that. Stuff.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for your service. That sounds exciting. I can't say that I've done any of that. I've been in the trucking industry my whole career, but I never did anything.
All this stuff, it's exciting in hindsight. At the time, I don't remember being excited about any of it. But looking back on it, it sounds exciting for sure. And I mean, I was in Honduras intercepting DC-9s flying out of Colombia. They were full of cocaine. Yeah. Now, my job was to drive the Jeep. So, it was kind of a low level job on that. But I did all kinds of things that sound very exciting.
Yeah. Well, I tried that. I was in Army Cadets. I think that when I was 12 or 13, I joined up for Army Cadets.
Yeah.
I think I lasted 2 years. I did the whole marching thing. Was able to take the gun apart, was not able to put it back together. And apparently that's going to be a problem. I realized I'm never going to be past a private my whole career, no matter how long I stay there. So I decided that was not for me. And I'm probably helping the Army by not being part of their system.
Well, I think actually they need recruits. I think so you would be what we would have called fodder. So we would have been proud to put you in the front and stand right behind you.
Yeah, no, I'd probably be better at driving trucks now. I would have driven the trucks, but I didn't know that at the age of 13. That's what I'd be doing.
Driving trucks is awesome.
So let's talk about GeoWiz and what they do. Give us the overview of what they do and how you got in, how you became owner of that.
Yeah, well, so when I got out of the military, I've done all kinds of things. And I had a buddy who was a freight broker in like 2013, 2014, when they started the regulation. He told me about it, and he's like, dude, there's like 3 million of these truck drivers, and they're going to have to buy one. Yeah. So that's probably a pretty good market to be in. So a business partner of mine, Mark, and we had a programmers. I mean, we're pretty much the whole company. And we just started writing the thing in 2014. Okay. We got it up on the FMCSA board, and we sold an awful lot of them, about 30,000 of them coming into 2017. And then we're off and running, and now we just support it, and we're working on some other products, dash cams, and just following the industry and all the new safety regulations and stuff. So
yeah. Now I'm in Canada. We just brought anybody running US has had them since you guys implemented them back in 2014 or whenever it was. But the Canadian guys just started this year, I believe. They finally mandated that all the guys who only run Canada have to have them, and they've gone through a heck of a certification process. Quite different than what I hear the FMCSA one was back when you guys started. So are you in the Canadian market now? Is this something you're offering to drivers up here as well?
First off, God bless Canada. You're our friends. I'm not picketing to invade and fix it. The Canadian market,
let us know, because we need some fixing.
Well, I think, okay. That aside, the Canadian market is basically a Ponzi scheme. We would have had to pay about $150,000 to get an independent party to look at it. And the more times they failed us, the more we would have had to pay them. And then they vouch for us and go to the Canadian government and say, yeah, we ran these guys around a lot. We got a lot of money from them. So yeah, put them on the list. And we looked at that and we were like, no. Yeah. No, because so you have a very limited supply because it's a pay-to-play market. Yeah. The nice thing with the U.S. market is, if you're creative and you can follow the rules, you can get a product out.
Well, I know when they first started, and I'm not sure how you guys were. I don't know. I want to say self-certified. I don't know if that's the right term. I'm not saying that's what people were doing, but there was a lot of people, I guess, getting in. And now, so Canada said, "Oh, we're going to have independence," and they had trouble even getting that going. And now I think they've got some. And I think the big guys are already kind of on there. The Qualcomm.
Yeah, they got the money. So Canada said, "Here are the rules, but we don't trust you sneaky vendors. Just like we don't trust these sneaky truckers that we're going to start tracking. So pay lots of money." And we just didn't want to do it. So we're in the U.S. market. Now that if you drive it in the U.S. market, you can drive into Canada with it, but you can't be a trucker in Canada, and you can't go very far in. So it is what it is. Yeah. Now you can go to Mexico all you want, by the way, with ours.
If you want to go to Mexico. So let's tell it now. You So the way your team mentioned it to me, and this is what kind of really intrigued me, because we ELDs, we can talk about that, but there's an agriculture ELD. Talk about that. Is that a separate thing, or I didn't know? I'm not sure. I didn't think agriculture had any rules. So,
well, no, agriculture is very complicated, including, we just talking about Canada. There's border crossings where you don't go that far in. No, we're the only ELD that actually tackled the agriculture rules, and we were actually working with the Department of Agriculture when they kind of saw this. And anyone who drives it, they'll know the differences. Traditional ELDs tell them to use personal conveyance and make notes and do all kinds of stuff. We automate all of that. We know all about the radiuses. These guys, if they're picking up cows, they can drive backwards, for 2 weeks if that's their next stop, and it's no one's business. Then there's a radius they get. We calculate all that. And then the FMCSA just made a new rule that gives them an exempt radius at their destination. They didn't used to get that even, I believe, just a year ago. So we have all that in there. We fill the logs out automatically. They just drive, and we keep them off duty, but we record the driving for IFTA and all that stuff. And then we fill the log out. We put in the appropriate citations of the regulations. So when they hand it to the inspector, who know all about us, by the way, they actually like it because they can see everything they're supposed to see, and they can trust it because not the driver trying to explain why at 3 a.m. because they were hauling bees, they didn't take a break. Some of the inspectors don't even believe some of the rules that these guys are able to use. So it's all very beneficial to use a system that does it all. Yeah, and we have that. We call it HOS for Ag, and you can go to hosforag.com and kind of see all the pictures and stuff.
Okay, so because I've never hauled livestock or anything like that, I've been mostly in the hazmat market when I drove. Yep. So, what are just give us a few of the differences, maybe the big ones because I think most people, I know, I've heard the odd comment, livestock, you've got to water them every 3 hours or stop every 4 hours or whatever the rules are. You hear these comments, and that's just from people that we've talked to, but I'm not sure what's correct, what's right. I didn't realize that they were actually running different to what the rest of us were. So maybe you can just clarify what maybe some of the differences are for people.
Sure. And in the agriculture market, you're dealing with what they call exempt commodities. These are commodities that are your primary load, that allow you to operate under different rules. Now, sometimes you have to deal with harvest seasons of states and different things. So if you're hauling apples in Washington state, you might get an exemption for the part of the year where apples are harvested, but you might not be able to use it the part of the year where apples aren't harvested because they know you're not really hauling apples, that kind of stuff. When you get to the live animals, the two exemptions I know about are cows and bees. And the basic idea is you can't really force one of these trucks who's hauling either one of those to stop and take 30-minute breaks in the middle of the summer because the cows will die, right? Or the bees will have a problem. On top of that, there's what they call an exemption, which is within an air mile radius of where they pick up and now where they drop off, provided a few sequences take place in the right order, and they don't have to follow the strict HOS rules inside of those radiuses for the same reasons, which is, you might have to go an extra hour to get the produce to its destination, but it's produce. It has an expiration date, and we don't want the shipping of it based on arbitrary. Well, I don't want to say arbitrary. I want to say only wonderful things about the FMCSA, who are my friend, but because of the rules. So they give them an exemption to the rules. The challenge is the drivers have to document and prove that, and it does deal with air mile radiuses and things that could be very complicated. So we use GPS to figure all of that out. So when they do get inspected, they don't really have to explain everything because the log's already been filled out for them.
Wow, that's okay. That's interesting. And I've heard that with bees too, so are the runs designed so that, I don't know, if they're going to Texas from here, that's a 3-day trip. I don't know if you haul cows from here to Texas, but it's basically a 3-day trip. So can they do it? I mean, the driver has to sleep sometimes. How does it work for them? Or do they not go further than they can go in a day or so?
Well, I don't really pretend to understand the exact logic and rationale for why the rules are what they are. What I believe is the idea is they've taken the danger off of the edges. So if you're driving from Canada to Texas, pretty soon you're going to be out of the 150 air mile radius of where you picked up, and it's going to take you a long time to get to the 150 air mile radius of where you're dropping off. So in between there, all the regular rules apply. You can't, just because you drink a lot of caffeine, you can't drive for 30 hours and all that stuff. But on the edges, when you get close, you don't have to arbitrarily stop, 50 miles away from your destination, and have the cow sit for 8 hours while you take a nap, that kind of stuff. Now, there is a whole complicated infrastructure that I don't necessarily understand completely for these different routes and how you manage all of that, because I think I don't know how long you can have a cow on a truck, but I'm sure there's you can't have the cows expire. Right. So there are other rules and logistics that come into play that have nothing to do with the ELD or the HOS system.
Yeah, we just assume up here in Canada anything that's licensed, basically farm equipment, is exempt in like 100 million different categories. So I think a lot of guys just
we looked at the Canadian rules, and you guys have some weird stuff. Like if you're in a pickup truck, as long as you don't cross water, you can do something. It's like, okay, I mean, that's great, but again, we didn't necessarily implement all the rules for
no. It's interesting though. It's interesting. So now you were saying the 150. Now, so we have in our rules, and I think the U.S. is similar. We have a 160 kilometer exemption if the driver goes, no further than that, and returns to the same place for a point of work every day. He's exempt from filling out a log. Still has to follow all the rules and regulations, but is exempt from filling out a log. Is that the same as what you're doing, or does yours expand outside of that area as well?
Yeah, we call in the U.S. In the U.S., we call that short haul, which is a completely different set of rules. They sound a lot the same because they do involve air miles, and we do the same thing. We have like 8 different verticals. So we have a short haul vertical. So if you mostly drive local, but occasionally you might go outside of that radius. It's the same logic because we're techies, so it's the same code logic. We have a radius to go outside, we turn the log on. If not, we properly document the inside. And we do that. I mean, waste management has components of that. There's lots of, but the passengers have components of that in slightly different rules. And we have a vertical for each one of those. And also, Bruce, if you mentioned a lot of your listeners are owner operators, we also have an ELD version that you buy once and you don't have to pay a monthly subscription for. We call it our owner operator version. And it was funny, we put it out in the market in 2015, and lots of folks made fun of us and said, don't buy it because we're going to go away. Well, 8 years, there are guys we sold that to for $120 who for 8 years have not had to pay another dime for their ELD. So, and we got no plans to go anywhere. Matter of fact, we're growing. So, we got lots of, we're really, and look, we're a small business, in America, and North America, and just 2 guys who started writing code and wanted to help truckers and keep the cost down. Even our agriculture stuff, everything we do costs about half of the other units. Right. And I know a lot of guys use Motive. I don't know what the motive is for using Motive. It used to be called Keep Trucking. We call it Stop Trucking. But I mean, you're giving basically your money to a conglomerate who has, Blackstone and owners that lead back to places you might not want it to go. So we offer an alternative to all of that, which we think is nice. So.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Now your type or your taglines, whatever you want to say it helps improve performance. Is that just so the driver is not taking care of a lot of these, knowing the rules and writing them down and all of that stuff? Is that what just basically you're taking care of all that background like you were mentioning before?
Yeah, that's what, again, since Mark and I are the owners, but we're also on the phone, and we would prefer not to take phone calls if we don't have to, right, for support. So we try and push all that in. So yeah, for all of our systems, you can run it as detailed as you want, where the driver has absolute control of everything, or you can basically let it run automated. It fills in all the information for you. We always put the regulation numbers and language in there, so any inspector gets it. It's not just we say regulate, 395 dash whatever, but then we put a little bit of the verbiage in there, and it's all automated. So when they get it, the driver doesn't have to do anything. So we free them up. They don't even have to technically go on duty. We'll flip them into driving if they start driving. I mean, they're supposed to go on duty and do things, but I mean, the system is as automated as they want it to be.
Does it include inspections and all those other things that are usually involved in ELDs?
Yeah, it's competitive with all the ones out there. So we do all the different inspections, maintenance plans. We do IFTA. We don't have to pay anymore. We give you all the IFTA reports on the back end, all the maps in the back office, the tracking. We break everything down into trips. We track the manifest. In agriculture, we build the whole manifest for you. As you give it to us, we track all the stops. We track when you onload, when you offload. Yeah, we do as much paperwork as the ELD gizmo can reasonably do. We do in all of our verticals.
So you're not hearing those people complaining about the ELDs because it sounds like you're doing everything for them. That
we're pretty good now. We're pretty good. 2017 was tough for us. It was tough for everybody because we went from 500 users to 40,000 users overnight. But after that, we still get a few phone calls, but usually it's just okay, I got this silly thing. What button do I hit? Or I can't log in, or kind of that basic stuff. Everything else, because we're also frontline support, I think has been kind of automated in the app. And by the way, Bruce, I mean, we love talking to owner operators and stuff. We just don't like talking about the problems with our ELD. We'd prefer to talk about other things like Baker Mayfield on the Bucks down here, which I'm pretty excited about.
Very good. Very good. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning, this was the first time I heard about agriculture.
Yeah.
ELDs. Are you the only one with agriculture? Is this? I've never heard any. Not that I'm in the agriculture market a lot, so that may just maybe me, but I have never heard anybody else say, "Hell yeah, there's an agriculture ELD." No,
right? We're the only one I know of. There are many ELDs that claim they handle agriculture, and they basically do it. The FMCSA said, "Here are the 3 bad options that we'll give to drivers that are going to use these rules. Good luck explaining it. And Godspeed." And the other EODs support that. Like they can put themselves in personal conveyance to keep hours off of their log, but then they have to be able to justify that move if they get inspected, as opposed to what we do, which is appropriately apply the regulation and put the notes in, not just what the driver sees, but also the file that gets sent up to the DoD EROD system and then comes down to potentially the peace officer or the weigh station person, whoever's doing the inspection. So we do all of it.
That's great. That saves a lot of hassle for the driver, and that's probably why these guys. I know some of the guys that are hauling cattle up here. They all look happy. That's probably why they got nice trucks and they're exempt from everything.
I think
good.
I think they're happy because the rules for this stuff make it almost okay. It's not too much of a hassle. But I say that, but it takes a lot of effort to justify having used the rules, which is the other side of it. Although I think if you're purely hauling cows, you don't have to use an ELD. I think they can still use paper. The problem is if you put an apple on your truck one time, now you're off in the woods and now you've got more to explain. So it's very complicated still. And it was left undone, honestly, because I think our government shifted focus from this pretty quick after the regulation came out, or actually it was passed, and they really haven't come back to revisit it, look at any of the metrics, see if it's doing what it's supposed to do. I've what do they call it, tangentially read that the safety metrics haven't improved like they said they were gonna, stuff like that. But no one's doing anything about it right now. The rules just are what the rules are, although they did add this one new agriculture accommodation where they give them the radius at the destination, which they didn't used to have, like I said, even a year ago. And I think that probably, I'd be interested to hear from folks, but I think that probably addresses a lot of the concerns that were out there.
How much does this system cost? Let's get down to it. You mentioned $120. I'm sure that's when you only had 500 users. You've got 40 million plus. I'm sure it's gone up a little bit at 521 maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, those were early prices, and we have lots of folks that got a very good deal on this. It's about $250 to $300 depending on your truck configuration. And this is our piece of hardware. And if you need a cable or whatever, to go with this. But you basically plug this in, you put the app on your phone. The subscription fee is under $300 a year, which is half of what they're paying to just about everybody else. And the system works great. Matter of fact, we talked to the FMCSA a lot. They love us. The inspectors love us, especially around Idaho and kind of the Northwest where there's a lot of hauling. So very inexpensive, about $250 to $300 depending.
That's a good deal, and is it? I guess it conforms to any truck type. It doesn't matter what kind of model you have or what kind of truck you have. You can.
Yeah, I think there's if you're into the short haul stuff, I think it's the F250s or 350s. There is a model that no ELD works in because of something from a while ago. Otherwise, for anyone else with any kind of regular truck, from the 6-pin connector, which is J1708, to the 9-pin or the green 9-pin or any of that stuff, we fit all that, and we talk all those languages to all those different trucks.
Oh, great. Do you have any examples of how it, I don't know what you can share or can't share. I'll leave that to you of maybe a driver that, someone stopped him and thought about thought he was in trouble and found out that your ELD saved them.
We have that letter up on, if you go to HOS, the number 4, HOSforag.com, we have Justin Hicks' letter up there we got exactly in that situation. He got inspected coming out of Washington State. It was going bumpy. Then our logs saved it. He said, "Thank you guys." The inspector loved it. I got off. God bless America. And we put that letter up there, and it happens all the time. All the time. The other nice thing is, if something is in question, and this used to happen when people weren't as familiar with the inspectors, weren't as familiar with our system, but you can call us and you're talking to the owners and the programmers and the support people. So we can talk to anybody, and help the driver through it. And we're not necessarily on anyone's side, but we certainly support the integrity of our system, and we'll defend its use, to the grave.
Yeah. Have you ever had to go to court or anything to help a driver or protect a driver from that?
We have been involved in many inspections that I can't speak of. Sometimes it benefits the driver. Sometimes it does not benefit the driver. I'll be honest. We have had cases where the driver's actions were indefensible. We have had cases where the government's interpretation is ridiculous, and we just simply, the truth will set you free. We explain how the system works. We tell them what happened. We vouch for the integrity of the system, and then the rest of it is out of our hands.
And that's about all you can do, right? As long as you're doing things right with the system, and the system's doing what it's supposed to do. Everybody interprets it different. That's the problem.
Well, the big deal is we're present, right? We're present. We're not some alphabet corporation that you can't get through the help desk on. We're two guys who know a lot of people in this space, and we're there, and we can explain it. And as long as the middle of the road was taken roughly, just I don't care what lane, but basically the middle, we're gonna help the driver, because whatever the ELD said happened is what happened.
Right. What about changes to legislation and regulation? Are you guys updating it right away when things happen? Is there a certain? I know there's a lot of time. There's a leeway, to conform to these things. But how fast is the system updated if there's changes?
We update. Like I mentioned, they just changed the agriculture rule, and it was actually a complex change because we had to add a second set of geofences and do some really, computer sciencey type calculations, but we sit on it and we do it when they come out. What happens is the FMCSA and the Department of Transportation in the US anyway, I'm sure in Canada it's much better. Here, sometimes it's confusing because they will float an idea that sounds a lot like they just implemented the idea, or they'll tell you they're implementing something new, but they do it in a way you don't understand. It's not being implemented for 6 more months or next year or whatever, right? So we have to we balance all of that when we do it. And what we do is we'll put the features in as soon as we can so they can be seen, but we won't let them be used if they're substantive changes until we get the word they've actually approved it, which we have a feed from them where we get this stuff in writing from them. And we can ask them questions. We've got an assigned rep from the FMCSA who worries about us and can answer our questions on stuff like that.
It's good to know, because the way I've seen it work here is they tell you it's coming, it's implemented, but then they give you a 1.5 year grace because nobody understood it.
Well, yeah, you guys do it the other way, right? Yeah, right. You say it's here, but don't worry. And in the US, they say it's coming, but we don't know when. So.
Oh, that's great. Where should we go to learn more about this? Sounds like a really interesting system, and I'm sure there's a lot of people interested about it.
GeoSpaceLabs.com is the corporate site. The agriculture site is HOS4ag.com. The 4 is the number 4, HOS, number 4ag.com. We have another one, ELD.cloud, which has the owner-operator one-time payment product on it. But if you start at GeoSpace Labs, you can follow everything from there.
Okay.
And it explains it, yeah.
Anything coming out in the near future that you want to talk about as far as the product or new changes or development? You mentioned dash cams and stuff. Anything?
Yeah, we have dash cams out, which you can get a pretty good insurance break for. We're also in the process of we're starting to gobble up other little companies. So there's lots of strategic little companies we're going after. I can't really give too much more away, but
That's fine.
We're expanding out kind of vertically the different services. So if you don't want to file your IFTA and you want us to just handle the whole thing for you, we can do that kind of stuff. The driver files, different systems like that. So we're working on all of that, and we've got a lot of things in the works. And I mean, in the next 60 days, we're going to have a lot of new products out. But the nature of these things is I can't talk about it, or beyond that. But we're a good, strong little company. A bunch of I'm a Southern boy. My partner, Mark, was a driver. He drove as a kid. We have another person on who drove for 20 years to make sure we always have the right perspective. And, we're little, but we're fierce.
Oh, okay. And if someone's sitting around doing nothing, where do we get your books? I'm sure they can read a zombie book.
Well, now something important. Yeah.
David, is there a place where are your books available? Come on, let's do the whole thing. Let's do it right.
We're doing that, No, the best way, Amazon.com, and my pen name is David Edward. But the way into my books, I have a book called Panama Red, which is the first of kind of my most successful thriller series. And it's actually free. The Kindle version is free. There's 6 more books in the series. Well, 5, and I'm working on the 6th book. But yeah, Amazon, type in Panama Red, David Edward, free. If you like it, buy more because they're good books.
Oh, it looks like you got lots of them to buy. So that'll keep them busy for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my friend, thank you very much. That was very informative. I'm sure people will be. I know that sparked my interest, just the agricultural part. So thanks for explaining that today. And
hey, Bruce, wonderful talking to you. And thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to folks about this.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey, folks. If you are a private motor truck council carrier, then you need to be at the PMTC conference. And even if you're not, you should be at the PMTC conference. That's right. So what's the PMTC, Private Motor Truck Council of Canada? They have their annual conference June 21st to 22nd to 23rd, 2023. It's in Hamilton, Ontario this year at the Hamilton Convention Center, and that's by Carmen's. You can learn all about it at pmtc.ca. Right now, they've got member pricing and non-member pricing, and I got to tell you, this year that you can stay at the Sheraton Hamilton Hotel. They've got lots of stuff coming up. We are looking forward to. We've been part of this conference for the last few years, and I got to say, it is one of the best conferences going on in our industry. So where do you learn more? At pmtc.ca. Check it out. Private Motor Truck Council of Canada. If you are a private carrier or somebody who wants to work with private carriers, you want to be in this room. They've got awards, they've got seminars, they've got a trade show, and they've got all kinds of stuff for you. So we'll see you there. We're going to be in Hamilton, and you're going to be there too, hopefully. June 21st to 23rd, 2023. Go to pmtc.ca. See you later. All right, so hopefully that was a good one for you. You can reach David at geospacelabs.com is where you can find out more about their company and what they do. And of course, he has a wealth, and you can also find out about his zombie novels if you look under that, David Edwards. All right, it was great information, and don't forget to follow us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find us on our Lead Pedal app, and I think TikTok, and I can't remember which way I'm going. Anyway, you can find us wherever you look for. Just look for Lead Pedal Media, Lead Pedal Podcast, or Lead Pedal Radio. All right, my friends, talk to you later. Be good out there. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.